Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think this is a very straightforward bill from the onset, the prompt payment bill. Mr. Speaker, I've sat for some time. I noticed the change on the seat. Madam Speaker, I've sat for some time at the Public Accounts Committee. One of the, and in fact the National Treasury, even went ahead on even invoking Article 225, Madam Speaker, because of a lot of pending bill. If my memory serves me right, Madam Speaker, there are almost over 120 billion Kenyan shillings in terms of pending bill in counties. I think national government, one entity, I think roads has close to 1 trillion in terms of pending bills in roads only ministry, Madam Speaker. This issue of pending bill is hitting our people, Madam Speaker. Our contractors in our villages, our counties, be it the ones who did ECD, the ones who have done polytechnics, the ones who have done anything with county, Madam Speaker, in terms of service and goods, Madam Speaker, are suffering. Some of them have been auctioned, Madam Speaker. These contractors in the village, Madam Speaker, are treating ailments that came because of not being paid, Madam Speaker. Some of them are treating pressure, diabetic, Madam Speaker. You saw even a video doing rounds in social media, Madam Speaker, where an old man had removed his clothes in protest because he has not been paid, Madam Speaker. Devolution has brought misery. I'm sorry to say this, Madam Speaker, and pain, and anguish, and gnashing of teeth, Madam Speaker, by many Kenyans who are contractors in our counties. Madam Speaker, for example, in Nandi County, we have close to 1 billion, Madam Speaker, that is on pending bill alone. 1 billion, Madam Speaker, all contractors in Nandi are suffering. And having sat in the Public Accounts Committee, discuss, Madam Speaker. And most of, Madam Speaker, the sad reality is these are young people, Madam Speaker. These are people who took an LSO, an LPO to get financing from a bank, from Credit Society, Madam Speaker, to finance some of these projects, Madam Speaker. And they are young people. They are women. They are people living with disability, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, can you believe there are people who are still being owed by counties from the onset of devolution in 2013, 2014? Madam Speaker, the National Treasury at some point tried to do special audit on pending bills and even went ahead and threatened counties that if they don't pay the pending bills, they will invoke Article 225 in terms of suspension of funds, Madam Speaker. It is sad. This prompt payment bill, Madam Speaker, because I was building the background, I want to thank Senator Omar, one of my members of public accounts and also a renowned accountant, well-established finance expert, for coming in with this bill as timely. This prompt payment bill. And I think this, and I want to encourage Senator Omar, Madam Speaker, this is one of the things that you will leave an indelible mark in the legislative process and in the history of Parliament of the Republic of Kenya among the Commonwealth countries, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue where one issue, there is no written contract for 90 days, I think that is realistic, Madam Speaker, where the payment, when you supply your things, maybe a company is pre-qualified. Let's assume during COVID era, you supply pharmaceuticals, and there is no written contract. This law has provided that within 90 days, there must be payment upon, of course, the process of completion of works. If it is supply, of course, invoice, among other things, Madam Speaker. And of course, in line with Public Procurement and Disposal Act, the Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, of course, among other procurement, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there is this public procurement, and I think this one PPOA, something that looks into dispute when there is the issue. We have a lot of complaints, Madam Speaker, where award of tender is involved in a lot of recurs. And therefore, they must follow the law in terms of procurement process. Madam Speaker, we have argued this, that why would counties and national government, for example, procure without having the money? Where is the procurement plan? Madam Speaker, in what we call IFIMIS, Information Financial and Management Information System, I think we need to amend the PMF Act, Madam Speaker, and look at the regulations. Because why would I give you supply to supply water to this chamber if I don't have the cash? Why don't we wire it in such a way, and there was a proposal by government then, that you must display the people you have awarded contracts, Madam Speaker. Why don't we tell counties and come up with a law both nationally and at county level, you cannot spend what you do not have? I think, Madam Speaker, you are a senior learned colleague in this profession, and you are aware that you cannot sell what you do not have. For example, there is a principle, Madam Speaker. And therefore, we must bite the bullet and agree that in your procurement plan, in the FMEs, you can only spend when you have money. So if there is a disbursement, I'm aware counties, Madam Speaker, are being owed almost 90 billion in terms of disbursement. And I've seen the equalization fund disbursement, I don't know, county allocation disbursement, Madam Speaker. There is an aspect where 90 billion. For example, when counties receive 90 billion, I don't find it a problem, Madam Speaker. Then they can now implement their procurement plan. Because one of the shocking things is, one of the audit queries is late exchequer releases. Because now the problem, we are heading to the financial year, Madam Speaker, this financial year, the Treasury opens FMEs up to midnight. I don't know why. I've never understood why Treasury behaves like night runners. My neighbors, the night runner is not a bad thing, but I don't know why they operate like night runners in terms of opening and I can see Senator from Mutembei smiling excitedly when I mention the night runners. Or young people call it usiku sako, Madam Speaker. People who have become more active at night. So I don't know why the FMEs is open up to the last day. Then you expect counties to spend, and that is how corruption is. Madam Speaker, you remember the former ambassador said that corruption is budgeted in Kenya. And at that time, he put a figure of 700 billion, Madam Speaker. So we must look. Madam Speaker, when you come to Treasury, there is no money. There is service. There is a pending bill. Where is this money? You go to a county, you get statutory deduction, but no remission. Where is the money? It is corruption, Madam Speaker. And I want at this point to thank our leader, the national leader, His Excellency Dr. William RUTO, Madam Speaker, because he has decided to fight corruption heads on. For example, the cleanup that happened in Kemsa, and I know when cleanup is happening in Kemsa, Madam Speaker, it will assist in ensuring that we get timely disbursement of drugs to our, Madam Speaker. We need cleanup. And therefore, I want to commend the President and ask governors, Madam Speaker, and I would have expected also Senator Ochieng, Senator Eddie Kisheru, to have commended and lauded the President for the efforts of fighting corruption. Because at the end of the day, Madam Speaker, we need to be honest and truthful men. When something good is done, you say it. When something not properly said, you do oversight and you question, Madam Speaker. So these, of course, the goods, private entities, and I think it cuts across both counties and what have you. And then, Madam Speaker, procureur shall pay to supply for delivery of goods, works on the due date. And I think, Madam Speaker, that will assist because we are looking about 120 billion. Of course, the supplier is put in position by the supplier, Madam Speaker, because I'm running through to allow colleagues also, Madam Speaker. I think on the issue of interest, I don't know, Madam Speaker, in 2013, 2014, somebody who constructed a cattle dip in Nandi at BQ was 500,000. I don't know whether it makes economic sense to pay that person in 2023 500,000 shillings only. We must make it painful so that people who make decision of procuring don't do it haphazardly for convenience or getting kickbacks. We must put interest rate. Madam Speaker, and the chair of education, when you just walked in, Madam Speaker, and then we were having about the petition of teachers. I want to inform the House that those teachers have been paid. I think the process of paying them around, I think 16 billion. I think around 2,500 teachers that had moved to Nakuru High Court in 2008, they have been paid. But does it make sense to pay that teacher of 27,000 shillings now? So the issue of interest and fairness in terms, Madam Speaker, of ensuring that we lamp on the interest. And therefore, I want to laud Senator Omar. He has talked about the interest, all contractual and legal obligations. So if, Madam Speaker, I am supposed to be paid in Siaya County, I'm not saying I should be paid for any service in Siaya County where my brother, the youthful Senator Oburu Odinga, for example, I'm being owed by my former colleague and my good friend Senator Orengo. And the law says so long as legal contractual obligations have been made. So if, Madam Speaker, I was to be paid by first and you end up paying me at 50, we should charge an interest so that governors take these things seriously. Madam Speaker. Finally, Madam Speaker, in conclusion, look at the, of course, which is a clause 9, a person wishes to enter into a contract for supply of goods or with national account shall make to the accounting on pending or to them to a small or micro enterprise. And this is where bottom up. You know, we say during campaign, Madam Speaker, we start down, going up. And that is the intention. And that is why when you see Asla Fund, Madam Speaker, we are trying to tailor-make. Madam Speaker, I heard my colleague saying this. In conclusion, because I just wanted to give a snap, these are straightforward. People are saying we are introducing new taxes in the finance bill. We want to Asla's. Madam Speaker, we must get those taxes. To get those taxes, because I highly doubt if there is somebody who wants 500,000 who is a hustler. If we are requesting only 3%, or even a turnover we have introduced to improve the capital base, Madam Speaker, of 3%, that's 15,000 Kenya shillings. Madam Speaker, what I am saying, we need money to go and give service to that person in the village, Mama Mboga and Boda. I've had people saying here, with all due respect to my senior counsel, saying the people in Nandi, I can confirm to this House, the people in Nandi are supporting the finance bill as is. Because what? We want resources, the taxes. You know, I have attended functions when I'm saying, and I don't know whether our colleagues get similar, even yourself. Mwananchi will stand and say, Senator, we need a road, we need an hospital, we need drugs, we need water. But where is the money that will do that job? It rules on taxation. So we need, Madam Speaker, to be honest with ourselves and have an honest conversation that for country to move forward, one is pay tax, but ensure that tax works for the people. The president has said as much, that even if he's given 1 shilling, he should protect that 1 shilling to ensure it gives value for your money. And I'm in the same page, Madam Speaker. Number 2, Madam Speaker, I said here, and I receive a lot of point of orders. There was 62 billion in terms of, Madam Speaker, as we talk today. Can I shock you? Almost 1 trillion was given through tax exemptions, tax abandonments, tax evasions. By the previous government, I don't want to say who, because if I say it will run me into problems. If that 1 trillion on tax evasion, tax exemptions was not given, for example, Madam Speaker, a leading bank, and I don't want to say my relationship with that bank, was given a tax exemption of 300 million. So what we should be doing, we should be ensuring we don't give anybody, even a tax exemption. We ensure we collect tax, because President Kibaki, and I don't know whether Senator Eddie Kisher, who is my good friend, I had been born then. When President Kibaki took over in 2002, Madam Speaker, the tax was less than 300 billion. By the time he left office 10 years, because of just saying, kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea, kulipa ushuru ni he raised up to almost 1 trillion plus. Because of only sealing tax loopholes, tax exemptions, Madam Speaker, not allowing fake things like illegal importation of sugar. You have seen the president and the government has cracked the whip, and people are now in court in the issue of caps, Madam Speaker. I was talking to a friend and he was telling me he took the sugar, and when he tried to cook the tea, turned into black, and it was supposed to be the normal tea. Madam Speaker, that is how we ensure accountability. For example, somebody somewhere failed. Madam Speaker, even the issue of edible oils. You remember towards the end of last year or mid last year, there was allegations that edible oils had been produced that was not meeting consumption standards. Could it be the reason we have increased cases of cancer, lifestyle diseases? But the bottom line I'm making and submissions I'm making, even as we do this, we must tell these contractors, be paid on time, but pay tax. Senators pay tax. Madam Speaker, as a senator, I don't have a problem of paying 2,500 men for the house levy fund, because it's a savings, not a tax. After 7 years, I can still get my money and do whatever I want, or give it to my daughter or son to continue proceeding, Madam Speaker. Because that is the honorable thing to do. Because, Madam Speaker, they say there are two things in life that you are sure, either death or payment of tax, Madam Speaker. And therefore, I want to appeal that when this is paid, in terms of taxation, we are pushing for this bill to be passed, Madam Speaker, as is. Let these people who are going to be beneficiaries to pay the tax, Madam Speaker, and ensure we keep our economy running. Madam Speaker, with those very, very remarks, allow me to still continue. Madam Speaker, and I heard today women being lauded, and I watched from my bedroom when you were donating under Kewapa, you went to Langata prisons. This one has shown the women senators not only deal with humanitarian issues, they deal with serious legislative matters only also. So that should be put on record, Madam Speaker, so that somebody who was listening to Senate thought women senators are only dealing with only giving things to Langata and what have you, Madam Speaker, and paying fines. This one has proven that women can be the trailblazers, and I continue to be the biggest gender to ensure even gender parity, Madam Speaker. I'm looking forward where we'll have Senate is 50-50% representation in the House, both in the National Assembly and the Senate. And I want to ask women senators, I don't have a problem if you tag along me next time and make sure I stand in between all of you so that I feel the warmth and also the comfort and be part of the process of doing good for this community. Thank you, Senator Omar. We wish you well, and I hope this bill comes to fruition. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Cheralgei. We can promise you to join us. I don't know about the warmth. Senator Chimero?